All right, everybody. Hello. Happy Saturday afternoon, y'all. Time for another episode of Bull in a China Shop. The rated number one bestest, furriest podcast in all the fandom, as rated by Prey Drive Magazine. 2 issues in a row. But yes, no, this is Bull in a China Shop, the podcast where I dedicate, pretty much time to all the interesting people that are in the furry fandom and let them tell their story. And I'm happy to be joined today by, another good friend of mine, also a royal pain in my ass, Aurora the Princess. Hello, how you doing?
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm coming through.
But yes, so I know we've been playing a lot of games together. We've been I guess I pretty much joined your Among Us group as well, and was welcomed into your community, and you're just an all around good person, and happy to have you on the show. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, where are you from? Things like that.
Here.
You're from here? Yeah.
No, I'm from England. And yeah.
But why though?
Why?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I question myself that sometimes as well, to be honest. Why am I here in the UK?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess probably the most important question that I have is how did you get into the furry fandom?
Cats the musical. I was like, damn. There's some people dancing in animal outfits. Let's look into this more. And then here I am as a furry, and have been a furry for about going on 10 to 12 years now. So yeah, my first owner was a derpy Dalmatian called Bandit. That was before I came out as trans, and now I am a female African wild dog called Aurora.
And why an African wild dog as opposed to just kind of sticking with your first Sona? What made you do the change?
So African wild dogs are my favorite animal, and that dates back to the early 2000s. There was a program on UK TV called Raw, and they would go around zoos and show off some of the animals for kids TV. And they showed these wild dogs, and they were noisy and, playful and whatever. Killing machines, but they were noisy and playful at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, they have been my favorite animals. So I make a habit when I go to zoos in the UK, because there's a number of zoos in the UK, I always make sure to go to ones that have wild dogs, just so I can see them. Yeah, and the colours for the first owner, mohawks have always been my favourite hairstyle, so I wanted a mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
Pink, black, and white are my favourite colours, but nobody ever notices the blue nose. Now the blue nose is there because pink, white, and blue are the trans colours. So she is also has the trans colours on her.
And you know what? I'm ashamed to say, I never noticed that until now. So I learned something new about you within the first 5 minutes. I love it. Yes.
Yep. So there was a lot of ideas going behind the design at the time I was doing it. Yeah.
And I mean, is there with the African wild dogs being I guess, noisy and killers? I mean, is there, a certain part of your personality that the animal kind of represents?
I'm noisy as fuck,
That's true. That is true.
and I love playing first-person shooter games. So yeah, there you go. And I'm a pain in the ass for everyone that knows me.
Yes, yes. A pain in the ass that once it is there, it is very difficult to be removed.
I'm known as the community brat,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah, I've spoken to a number of doctors about having that pain in my ass removed, and they said that they're not going to touch it. So you are firmly lodged in place. So, but so you play a lot of first-person shooter games, but then you also play a lot of racing games, and I know that one of them just came out.
Yeah.
Would you tell us a little bit about that?
So, back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, there was a game series called Test Drive Unlimited, which was basically you land on this island, which is Hawaii, and basically the premise of the game is you buy apartments, you buy luxury cars, you race, you make your character look good, and the goal is to become a millionaire in the first one and whatever. Have the luxury cars. The second one's premise was there was a competition on Hawaii and Ibiza called Solar Crown. Now you can see where the idea for the name of the third one came from.
Mm-hmm.
The second one's race competition. And the premise was exactly the same. You land on these islands, you win races, you buy luxury apartments, or the $10 million yacht, and you buy luxury cars. Now, the company behind the game, Atari, went bust.
Mm-hmm.
So the game died. And people thought we would never see another Test Drive Unlimited again. So what people did was, when the game died, they created servers for the first and second one that people could play, and they would update it every single, kind of 6 months. So the games did die, but on PC there was workarounds where you could get newer cars and stuff like that in these games. But then about 4 years ago, rumors started circulating that the copyright had been bought by a French company behind the rally games. They were making rally games and the Isle of Man TT bike racing games. So not a big company, but had worked with cars and terrain and stuff before. And then 2 years ago, a trailer dropped going, the game's coming back. And man, was it hype.
Yeah.
And then this year, it was announced it would be out in September. And yeah, I dropped 90 quid on it straight away. Because I have the first and second game in my collection right now. And the PSP game in my collection. Those are games that I've always loved. And it was, we're talking before Forza Horizon came out as open world, before Need for Speed came out as open world. These were the first real open world drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had like GTA and stuff like that, but these were the first real designated car for open world games built around an island kind of thing, a real island.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, and I know you're very passionate about first-person shooters and racing games, and then like a lot of that also carries into real life. I mean, you also follow Formula One. So how did you get started in racing? How did you become a fan?
Well, Formula One was a interesting story because it was my dad who was into it through the 80s and 90s. He's Senna, Prost, all of those, Schumacher.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't really watch any F1 until Schumacher had joined Ferrari. And then one afternoon, my dad goes, "Oh yeah, we're gonna watch an F1 race," because it was an oddity that it was on TV during the day, because back then Sky Sports had bought the rights and they still have the rights to show every race exclusively in the UK.
Okay.
But yeah, so we were gonna watch it, but Dad got hurt at church, so he fell over and hurt his back and neck. So we went over to my mum's friend's house, who looked after us while Mum and Dad went to the hospital. Yeah, so that happened, and we watched the race there. And Schumacher won, obviously, because Schumacher had pretty much won every race when he was at Ferrari.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's true.
And that is when I became a somewhat Ferrari fan that still resonates today, because I have insane amounts of Ferrari model cars and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's that. I've been to Silverstone. I've not watched a race. That was an interesting story. We got my school got invited to something called, I can't remember what it was, but basically people in the school built a remote control car.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to race remote control cars around the pits of Silverstone.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
So that's pretty cool. And they had like the Formula 3 cars going around at the same time doing testing and stuff like that. So the touring cars, it was basically a track day going on, but not for normal people. It was for some testing of cars and stuff like that. So we got to see some of the stuff.
And go ahead.
No, I was drinking.
You're drinking, okay. Gotcha. So you talked a little bit about Schumacher and Ferrari and still kind of being a fan. So who is your all-time favorite driver and team, and why?
Okay, so my all-time favorite driver, Seb Vettel. And that resonates from the fact that I never really watched it while Schumacher was racing, but Vettel was kind of the second coming of Schumacher, shall we say. The cockiness, the young man, I'm the best and no one around me is as good as me. It was kind of he kind of, should we put it simply as, in F1 at the time, he was the brat. And I, being a brat, was like, yes, I need to follow this guy. And he won 4 world championships in a row. So, and then he went to Ferrari. And then it didn't go that well because Hamilton joined Mercedes. Hamilton, I hate Hamilton.
Which I got a question about that next. But
Hamilton joined Mercedes, and Mercedes were like, now we're the best. But yeah, it didn't work out as well as he thought it was going to do. But and then he joined Aston Martin after Ferrari, matured a lot, and started doing a lot for equality and saving bumblebees and stuff like that. There was one day after the British Grand Prix where he stayed behind and did litter picking with a load of people from the crowd, which I thought was, early Seb Vettel would never have done that.
Yeah.
Which I just think is incredible.
I mean, like, do you kind of feel as though you grew up with Vettel? I mean,
Yeah,
you started liking him because he was young and he was a brat, and then
yeah,
he kind of got
yeah,
older, and then you appreciated
yeah,
that more. I mean,
yeah. I have, s- I have a model, a one of 999 model of Vettel's first ever BMW Sauber that I've shown you. It's a
yep.
little model that I made sure I bought. One of 999 in the world, and it's his first ever test car. And I have a small helmet from one of his races, night races in Shanghai, or somewhere like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
which I think is those two will always stay in the collection. They will never be sold. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no. And you went to. I know that just off our previous conversations, you're very much into collecting a lot of these, I guess, model cars,
Yeah,
and
die-cast models.
yeah, the diecast models. So like these are like high quality, like all metal for the most part.
Yeah, I have in my collection at the moment nine Ferraris, one Porsche, one Mercedes, one Lamborghini, and I think a Mustang as well.
Ooh, a Mustang. Okay, I got a question about that
Don't
later.
ask me why I have a Mustang. It,
A big American muscle car in a fine, exquisite British collection such as yours. How crass!
yeah, all these European
All
sports
these,
cars and luxury cars, and then a Mustang.
and then you have a loud, shouty. Uh,
I think at the time, I think at the time, I had gone. I was buying a model car from because I go to a place called Bewley. Now
mhm.
Bewley has a motor museum, and it also has like a really posh, old styly house. So I go to the car museum and my friend, because we're going. That's where we're going when we go away in a couple of weeks, and um they like the old styly house because it has a like kitchen shop and they sell toffees and stuff in there. And I'm like, I need to go to the car museum, and they're like, it never changes. I was like, you never know.
Oh my God.
But it also is home to, believe it or not, the world of Top Gear. So they have a load of old Top Gear cars and um like the stuff they do for the challenges. It has the Morris Minor rocket.
Oh, gotcha.
It
Okay.
has the cars they drove on the train track. It has like the car they built themselves and stuff like that. It has loads of stuff like that. But yeah, they're like it never changes. Why do you want to go there as like cars?
So you can see a piece of British automotive and television history.
Yeah, but I think the Mustang is in my collection because I didn't have enough money to buy one of the Ferrari or Lamborghini models at the time,
Hmm.
and the Mustang was just there, so I picked it up and bought it. It's there because it was all I could afford.
Which I think is the reason why most people buy Mustangs in America is because they got a lot of horsepower and relatively cheap compared to like lots of
just
other
make
fancier models.
just just make sure they can't aim for crowds. um, but yeah, so just up the road from Bewley is a town called Lyndhurst. Right, it's a little village town.
Hmm.
It's a touristy place. They've got cafes, tea spots for tea, sweet shops, gift shops, that kind of thing, right? And what is it in the main part of the village square? Do you think? Go and have a guess.
Glockenspiel.
No.
Oh.
England's best rated Ferrari showroom.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. No, it has
Damn. Okay.
also been voted Europe's best Ferrari showroom 3 times in the last 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
There's so much automotive stuff in the UK. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got loads of... My holidays and weekends aways are based around, can I fit a car showroom in, or a car museum, or something car related?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because just a few weeks ago, you went to Brooklands. Am I saying that right? Brooklands? I mean, I'm not sure how
Brooklands.
it's... Brooklands, there we
Brooklands.
go. Yeah, so you visited Brooklands, which, for those of you who are looking at the screen right now, which Sebastian Vettel is right above my head, and that's who we were talking about earlier. But then right above Aurora's head, we have the cover of issue number 2 of Prey Drive, which Aurora is on. So that is actually at Brooklands, and you were able to go there and pretty much see the track. Can you talk a little bit about the significance of that track for the UK?
Brooklands is the UK's first Formula One track back in like the 50s or whatever, before it moved to like Silverstone. And basically, some of the track is still there, but it's not in full state at the moment, because there is a superstore on it now. There is
like
a
Superstore.
Tesco's. There is a Tesco's.
Oh.
A Tesco's. Basically, there's an industrial estate on it called the Paddock, basically, which is very smart. But yeah, so I think they lost some of the track during the war or whatever. Or no, not during the war. Something like that. They basically, once it moved to Silverstone, Brooklands just wasn't used anymore, and it was a curved track. Basically, yeah. So that's not there, but there is a museum there called Brooklands Museum, which has a mixture of cars and planes or whatever. And in front of that is Mercedes-Benz World, which is also where I went.
Yes, and you were showing me some pictures of Mercedes-Benz World as you were touring it, right after the tour, and I am just insanely jealous. I wish I could have seen it, but they had like a bunch of old cars there too.
That's not it at full capacity. So basically, what Mercedes-Benz World is it's a museum and it's a showroom. So they have the entire lineup of the modern Mercedes cars for sale. Like they have an AMG section and they have a normal section, and some of the cars in the normal section you can sit in and just get a feel for and whatever. And then they have the F1 section, which is what I showed you, where they have some of the old F1 cars. We're talking the 60s F1 car that you saw, and then they have the 90s F1 car. They have the Hamilton F1 car. They have the Formula E car. They have some of the Formula E trophies that I showed you as well.
Yep.
Then they have a replica of a Lewis Hamilton car hanging from the ceiling, but it's not together. It's every single little bit of F1 car hanging from the ceiling. Did I show you that?
Did I see that photo? I don't think I did. And I feel terrible.
So,
I guess if you want to send it to me right now, I can maybe do some work in the background and have it up on screen.
Did I show you? I swear I showed you.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, it's. I'll send it again. Check your Telegram.
Oh, my Telegram. Okay, let me see here. Oh yes, yeah, that one. Yeah, the exploded view.
It's every little bit of F1 car, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, but there's usually more there. So I think they must have just been mid. Heck, we need to get some more cars in or whatever, because that's just how it is sometimes. If it's a museum, they're all privately owned or whatever, and sometimes the owners take the cars back for summer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, it still blows my mind that you have a whole bunch of these, and I'm sorry, the F1 car is going to dominate the screen for a second, but so that is the view that we're talking about here, and I'm going to cover up part of my lovely logo, but yeah, so I mean, like, for those of you who don't follow Formula One, even old Formula One cars are still worth millions of dollars. Like, how much is the average F1 car worth? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But they talk a lot about how if you damage one of the lower league team cars, it's like $3 million.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, according to Google, the cost of an F1 car is approximately $15 million.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
And if you think about how many of the F1 teams are actually based in England as well,
Mm-hmm.
like we have Mercedes based in England, we have Red Bull based in England, Aston Martin based in England, Toro Rosso based in England. There are a lot of them that are based in England. In fact, I think at the moment it might just be Ferrari that isn't English based.
Which that blows my mind. I guess I never realized that Mercedes-Benz was based out of the UK.
Yeah.
That's like I knew that Aston Martin obviously was based out of the UK, and then of course you have like a bunch of other automotive companies there. I think Lotus, are they still based out of the UK? Anyways, but yeah, you think Mercedes-Benz, like historically a very German company, and then all of a sudden, it's like oh, it's based out of the UK. That's interesting. So, but that is the world of Formula One.
Mercedes-Benz F1 team is currently based in... Oh, okay, according to this... yeah, okay, so it's based in Brackley, which is where they make the chassis, and Brixworth is in Northamptonshire, which is where they make the power units. So they have two factories in the UK working on the car.
And okay, so the question that I had earlier that I forgot to ask at the time. So you're very much British, and
Thanks for noticing.
so you're British, and your favorite driver is Sebastian Vettel, who is German. So there are a couple of other British drivers on the Formula One circuit. Hamilton being one of them. Actually, he's the winningest F1 driver in all history of the sport. So why are you a Vettel fan as opposed to like Hamilton?
Again, it comes back to being a brat and Schumacher and stuff like that.
Okay, gotcha. Because I was gonna say, I mean, Hamilton, I think probably early in his career he was a brat, but then again, I mean,
he wasn't. No, that's the thing. He wasn't.
I feel like
he wasn't as cocky as Vettel. Was. No.
Even with all the tattoos and piercings and everything.
And plus, again, back then, I wasn't at a stage where I was watching it that much F1, so I missed the young Hamilton period and jumped straight to the Vettel coming in and dominating kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
I miss the Brawn era as well, where they came in for one season, won everything, and then fucked off again.
Well, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I knew of Formula One, in the early 2000s and into the 2010s, but never really followed it, never got into it. But then, when I was deployed to Bahrain has an F1 track on the island. So that was always the big news in
Yeah,
Bahrain when the race would be coming into town.
that's a controversial race, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, it is. So for those of you who haven't been to Bahrain, which for many of you who are listening and watching, not a whole lot there. It's an island nation that you can drive across in about 20 minutes with about moderate traffic. So and it's also it's also kind of a somewhat dangerous place to be. Like there are a lot of nasty people on the island. I can't go into detail about who's who, but yeah. So
But F1, if you have the money, you can do whatever you want.
and that's about it too. But yeah, like there are riots pretty much every day in Bahrain, and then of course, like when Formula One comes into town, like there are even more riots. So pretty much any big event like that, like any Westerner can't go to, especially if you're in the military. Yeah. So yeah, but lots of riots, lots of everything, and of course, just everybody in F1, they're more than happy to forget about all the stuff that's on fire outside of the track, so long as they can have their nice clean, F1 race to kick off every season. So, but yeah, like I was able to go to the track when I was in Bahrain, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually this is pretty cool. It's like right here, and then when I went to Ferrari World in the UAE on vacation when I was still deployed, like I got to see a little bit of that track as well. So, so yeah, I mean, that was pretty much my introduction into Formula One. I wish I could have been there to see a race, but hopefully this year I'll be able to go to Vegas and see the Vegas Formula One race in just a couple of months. So yeah, I know my life is tough. It's tough. I don't know how I do it. But I guess another thing that always blew my mind about just everything in the Middle East, especially in Bahrain, is we kind of talked a little bit about how much these F1 cars cost, and there are plenty of houses in Bahrain where the owners of these properties would just either rent or buy an old Formula One car and have it on display in their living room. Like it is unreal. It's like, I mean, could you imagine
that's another thing I like watching on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love watching. I think the reason we are seeing the death of car TV programs like Top Gear and the Grand Tour is because there's just no market for it anymore. Like, yes, nostalgia's great. Top Gear back in the 2000s and 2010s, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. It was fun to watch. Laughter. That kind of thing. And the Grand Tour has been great again. There's no market for it anymore because YouTube exists, and there are a lot of car YouTubers who do what Top Gear used to do. Mm-hmm. They go out in these cars, they show these cars off. Like there's Shmi, there's Seen Through Glass, there's those two are two people I love watching because Shmi travels the world showing off different car garages where he's car collectors, should I say, and he goes into these secret car collectors collections and shows off these insane collections of Koenigsegg, Veyrons, Ferraris,
Yeah.
Lamborghinis, and you're like, that's incredible. And A Scene Through Glass is another one. He goes around doing different things. He owns a Ferrari, doing different events and stuff like that. There's just no market for car TV anymore because YouTube covers everything. Because these YouTubers are so up there now with these media people that they get invited to car releases and can show these cars off the minute they're released. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
Yep.
if a Ferrari gets released while Top Gear is on their summer break or filming, you have to wait 4 months to see what Jeremy Clarkson thinks of it.
Mhm.
Whereas these YouTubers can show you around the car like that.
Yep, that type of special access.
Yeah.
Privileged access. Yeah, I mean, I tell you what. I love Top Gear to death. I really started watching it a lot when I was again deployed in Bahrain, so that kind of got me through the deployment. But like I watched a lot of Top Gear on YouTube. But yeah, it's just like after my goodness, like how long has Jeremy Clarkson been doing car stuff?
He started in the 80s. He started on the original Top Gear. Because the Top Gear you and I know from the 2000s wasn't the original Top Gear. Top Gear existed before that, but nobody ever talks of 90s and 80s and 70s Top Gear. Because it just wasn't as big as the Top Gear you and I know.
Yeah.
Because I think that Top Gear that you and I know came at a period of time where cars were developing. We weren't having these slow cars anymore. Cars were capable of reaching insane speeds, and we saw that but towards the back end of the 90s, where the F40 and F50 came out, the Jaguar XJR came out. These cars were so fast, and then we hit the 2000s and the Veyron came out. 200 plus miles an hour.
Yep.
And I think cars, when Top Gear came out, cars kind of were at that stage where they were becoming more and more an interest. Whereas, again, back then, they weren't. So that's why Top Gear ultimately failed. And then Jeremy came back a couple of years later with Richard Hammond and some other guy that was there for the first series.
Not James May.
It wasn't James May for the first series.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it was some guy who was like a car seller. If you watch season 1 of Top Gear, all he does is talk about car prices or whatever.
Oh God. Okay.
And then James May followed the second season, and then boom, it just evolved from there.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy, just how Top Gear has evolved and survived. But I can't imagine trying to start up anything like Top Gear now. I just think it's thoroughly run its course. It's like I think
well, it's on an indefinite hiatus after what happened last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they were midway through filming. There was a cricketer called Freddie Flintoff who was quite famous for cricket.
Yeah.
And being the bad boy. If you read Freddie Flintoff's wiki, he's quite famous for being very drunk after England won the Ashes against Australia. But which is a cricket competition. He was basically test driving a Morgan freewheeler without a helmet. And one of the other presenters was a full-time race driver, and he had gone to the executive producers and said, hey, look, there's going to be a big accident if you don't take the health and safety rules serious. There is going to be a big accident. And he said this in a podcast the other day. And Freddie got in the car without a helmet on, and Chris Harris, his name is, was talking about how he was in his studio, in his little office at the test track, and he heard a chilling radio message. And he looked out the window. The Morgan three-wheeler was on its roof, and Freddie was basically under the car, not moving. He thought
God.
Freddie was dead, basically. And Freddie literally hadn't been seen in public for almost a year because it destroyed his face.
Ooh. Damn.
But then the health and safety people went in and went, "What are you doing? Like, why are you not taking more precautions?" And shut the show down, and it's on an indefinite hiatus. So, but if you think about it, the amount of crashes that Richard Hammond had and stuff like that back when they were Top Gear, you think the health and safety would be... I think they were still living in the fact that Jeremy James and Richard were still there, kind of going off of that production rather than moving on with the times. So yeah, something serious was always going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and you have a bunch of presenters, who, just straight up don't want to follow rules, and it's like if they made a career, a name for themselves, just kind of being anti-establishment or a renegade. Like, of course, they're not going to wear a helmet, or not going to want to wear a helmet, but I don't know.
But the issue I have with Top Gear is it was only slowly getting back to where it was. It was never going to reach the heights of Jeremy James and Richard again. But it was slowly getting to, it was okay, rather than it was a complete mess. And then this happened, and we never got the show back. And then obviously the Grand Tour's ending this week. So, but as I say, I just don't think there's a need for car shows anymore. Everything is on YouTube.
Yeah, it is. It is just, it's a lot tougher for the bigger productions to keep pace with, YouTubers who can literally shoot an episode on their smartphone and then, post it that same day, as opposed to, any Amazon, Netflix, BBC production where you have like a staff of, 20, 30 people, and you have to do logistics on how to get to, exotic locations and here and there. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of moving parts, and it takes too long. So
I can't remember the last time, apart from football and F1, I watched a normal television program, like on TV through the aerial. Like I watch football, and I watch F1, but because I have like this Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and stuff, I don't watch normal TV anymore. I think normal TV is at a stage where it's a necessity for people who don't have these streaming services, but streaming services will one day end up killing terrestrial TV.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think probably like more than a decade ago, once cable TV subscriptions started going down in the States, I think a lot of bigger channels, they kind of took a look around. They're like, oh crap, we're gonna get beat out by all these internet services. So
well, look what Netflix did to stuff like Blockbuster and stuff like that. There's just no need for those things anymore. If and people, there's no need for cinemas. Cinemas are slowly dying because you give it a 6 or 7 weeks, it's already on Disney Plus or Amazon Prime or whatever. The cinemas are basically town centers, city centers, cinemas. That's it. We're going to reach a stage where that's all gone. Shops won't exist because Amazon and online shopping is taking a precedent. You can order your games online rather than going shopping for them. There's just no need for that stuff anymore, and it's a sad thing, yeah, but it is what it is.
Hmm.
We're heading that way, basically.
And since we're kind of on the topic of watching, a lot of stuff, with streaming services and everything, do you try and catch a lot of F1 races? I guess either online or
So
elsewhere.
I have there's Sky Sports, and there's a company called Now TV. So Now TV will allow you to pay less out of contract for Sky Sports. So I pay £30 a month for Sky Sports F1, Sky Sports Football, Sky Sports News, all the sports channels I get for £30 a month without having to be with Sky. So I get to watch my football and my F1 for £30 a month.
Yeah, it's not a bad gig.
So yeah. So Panda will tell you that I go quiet on a Saturday and a Sunday while the football's on.
And when it comes to football, or as us Americans know, soccer.
British football, the
Yeah.
proper football.
Hmm. So I guess who's your team?
Well, my team, I have two teams, Liverpool and Reading.
Hmm.
Reading is where I was originally from. I don't live there anymore. And I used to have a season ticket at there. So I got to see 5 seasons of in real life football, like not watching it on the telly. So that was fun. And Liverpool, just because my dad's team is Aston Villa. And way back about 22 years ago, he goes, we sit down and watch a match on the TV, and he goes, okay, I want you to support the loser, because he thought Villa were going to lose, and Liverpool lost. And ever since then, I've been on a Liverpool fan because they lost.
I mean, did you ever play, football growing up, or it was just kind of something
Yeah.
that?
I played football as many times a week as I could, and then I got a serious injury, and then could never play the level I was back then.
Mm.
I had scouts watching me play because I had trials at Reading because they were my local team. I could have gone pro, but I got a serious injury and then couldn't.
Yeah, damn. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, seems to be the case with a lot of people playing sports when they're growing up. I mean,
Yeah, it's sadly an injury that will never really heal.
wow. So is that serious?
Yeah. So they said if you run at that level again, you will create serious injury. But I did make it semi-pro for a
Mhm.
bit, and then I just packed it in and just gave up, basically.
So, I mean, like, how old were you when you were playing semi-pro?
Between the ages of 18 and 20.
Okay.
So
So, I mean, like you literally
give me
were
give
on
me
the
a
path
second.
to go
Give me
pro.
a second.
Okay. And yes, Wada. So British actually invented soccer and called it soccer. That's why we named our sport football. And then also Wada. I guess, as the legend says, we brought in, or I guess the British brought cricket, over to the United States. But then, of course, we changed it, changed the rules, and then called it baseball. And then I think that's how the story goes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we as Americans, we love to commandeer things and then change them and then say we invented it. That kind of stuff. No big deal. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with this episode of Bull in a China Shop. not sure how many other race fans we've got, watching right now, but yeah, the latest episode of the Grand Tour, which is kind of like the so the Grand Tour. I was just talking a little bit about the Grand Tour, and the Grand Tour is a show. It's now on Amazon, and it's pretty much like the spin-off of Top Gear, involving the big three. So Richard Hammond, James May, and Jeremy Clarkson. And I forget how many seasons of the Grand Tour on Amazon, they've had.
There's 3 seasons of the Grand Tour.
Yeah.
And then the rest are specials.
Mm-hmm.
Because they stopped doing the in tent and whatever. They stopped being in the tent doing the shows with the crowd after season 3, and then just decided that they would do specials from now on.
Yeah. And then now coming up, on the 13th? Or is it?
13th is the last ever one, yeah.
Yeah, it's like on the 13th, like the last episode of the Grand Tour is going to be airing on Amazon.
Which is fine, because James May has his TV programs.
True, yeah.
Richard Hammond has his classic car show, classic car thing.
Yeah.
Called The Smallest Cog.
I've never even heard of that. I need to check that out. Is it on Amazon or YouTube or what?
It's on it. Well, I don't know, but it's on YouTube. He talks about it on YouTube, and then obviously Jeremy has Jeremy's Farm.
Yes, which I love that show.
And he's opened a new pub. James May has a pub. So they've invested smartly into the future. So they're not going to go broke, let's be honest. And then obviously James on YouTube has his underground bunker where he does cooking as well.
Oh no, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where the cheese thing comes from? Like the cheese?
That is from where the cheese film.
Okay, all right, here we go. I had no idea. I learned something new today. There we go. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, but they have all moved on to YouTube as well. So they're all on YouTube, on like Drive Tribe and Food Tribe. They have shows that they do on YouTube. So again, they've moved on to YouTube. If they've moved on to YouTube, they must have seen where this is going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that and the fact that I think probably all 3 of them were sick of the BBC, especially Jeremy Clarkson punching that producer so many years ago. And then and I remember Jeremy Clarkson saying, like in one of the interviews that he was in, like he was actually being interviewed, and it was years ago, but he was just like, I've been doing this for like how many years now?
So
like
Jeremy
we can't go any farther.
Jeremy has been doing Top Gear again since the 90s and 80s. So he's been doing it a good 40 years. And they've been doing it 22 years together. So it was only gonna, the original Top Gear people, apart from Jeremy, moved on to a show called Fifth Gear. They had Vicky Butler Henderson, Tiff Niddell, all of that. So I'm sure you will have heard Jeremy talking about Tiff Niddell.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so Tiff Niddell worked with him on the original Top Gear. And then they went off to start Fifth Gear. I'm sure you've heard of them talking about Fifth Gear as well. Fifth Gear stopped about 10 years ago, it must have been. Another car show that failed, ultimately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you're competing against Top Gear, so that's already pretty damn tough.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But I mean, Jeremy Clarkson pretty much said years ago, he's like, there's only so many cars you can review. It's like they have 4 tires, they have a steering wheel and a seat, and they go around in circles or go around a track. It's like, he was already kind of burned out with all that. And that was years ago. So
and he can't even fit into half the cars anymore.
Yeah, he's a big dude now.
if you see him on TikTok and whatever, his missus got him a Lamborghini for the weekend. He could barely fit in it.
Did you see the one Grand Tour where they had
He tried to
like,
get into the
yeah,
old F1 car,
yeah,
and they
he
had to
like,
dismantle the car around him.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, he got stuck in an old F1 car, and then they had to, yeah, like for everybody who hasn't seen the episode, yeah, Jeremy Clarkson got into an old F1 car, and then he couldn't get out, and they had to disassemble the car around him just to get him out.
I think that one was called the
It was like the Eastern
Euro
European,
Crash or something.
yeah.
I think it was called the Euro Crash,
I
which
think
is
it
where
just,
James had that really awful car that would go like 10 miles an hour.
yeah, yeah. That was pretty damn hilarious.
Just a mess, basically. An absolute mess.
Yeah, but actually, okay. So I'm gonna see if I can I'm gonna see if I can put this photo up in the stream real quick. But this is the image that we're talking about, and it's of Jeremy Clarkson getting his dummy thick body stuck inside of a frickin' like an old Eastern European F1 car. I got to remove the other F1 car, but you're getting old and pudgy when when you get stuck like that. So,
And it's funny that he got stuck in it with Richard Hammond next to him, because Richard Hammond was just taking the piss the entire time, man.
yes, yep. So up on the screen, I have a still shot of Jeremy Clarkson when he couldn't get out of the old F1 car. So
When I was growing up, like the original Top Gear started, not the original, but the second coming of Top Gear started when I was 10. So every Sunday it was on at 8 o'clock on BBC Two. My mum would be in the lounge watching her programs like Songs of Praise or whatever, and I would be in the in the games room. We had a games room slash conservatory slash dining room. So the TV for my games console was in the dining room. So I would have like a cup of tea and a sandwich while watching Top Gear, and that happened. Must have been till I was 16 and moved into a residential school, basically. So yeah, that happened. Every weekend it was on, I would watch Top Gear religiously. So that is why I'm crazy into cars.
that's your origin story.
Well, the origin story I told you anyway. I went to a car museum car show in Birmingham, and that is really what got me into cars. Although I can't really remember any of it. And then the moment my mum discovered I might be a slightly autistic / ADHD was when I discovered I could tell cars from their wheel hubs.
Oh, okay.
So
That's interesting.
my mum took us to a garden centre because that was her thing to do on a Saturday afternoon. She had 3 kids, a gran with dementia. She would take us to these garden centres to have a look around and kill an hour or two. And one of these garden centres was in Oxford. And it must have been an old style BMW 1 Series. Like, the I think they're like stupidly rare sports cars now. Right?
Yeah.
And I looked at the wheel hub. I was about 7, 8 at the time, and went, "That's a BMW." And she goes, "Oh, you might be slightly autistic because you can tell cars by their wheel hubs." Then I got tested. Turns out she was right.
Wow. Okay.
And cars are one of my hyper focuses. So, and they have been for years. I have a mechanical engineering degree, level 2 at college, something or other. I did mechanical engineering, passed it, but it is something I will never get into. I will never do the mechanics.
So, I mean, did you ever want to get into the racing aspect of things?
No. No. My mum's friend's son worked for McLaren at McLaren headquarters. And he worked on car design. And he worked for the F1 team and the road car team. And they are so strict. You are locked in basically in a room designing these cars. And you're not allowed out until like lunch or whatever. They are so strict. Like, they have to be careful that their doors are not left open. They have to, because any speck of dust is not okay.
Gotcha. So it's like a clean room then.
Yeah, well, yes, but that is the entire of McLaren workshop.
Oof.
Everything has to be pristine.
Yeah, dust free.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I mean, well, I guess it makes sense if you have, a racing program that's worth, $100 million plus, and the last thing you want to.
And that's he was working with the road cars as well. So the road cars are exactly the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
It's insane. It's insane. You wouldn't get that at somewhere like Ford.
No. No. I mean, that's that would be a pretty cool experience to have, just to say you were there working on some of these exotic cars.
He doesn't work there. He doesn't work there anymore.
But like to like be there and to have worked and been a part of the the process. That'd be cool.
Yep.
So we also had I think who was it who brought up Formula E earlier in the chat, but I guess what are your opinions on Formula E? It seems as though a lot of the industry, like the racing industry, is trying to make a hard shift over to electric racing cars. Have you watched any of those races? Any opinions on that?
I will never watch it.
See, I've tried to watch some of the highlights of like what is it like?
I think it's a great idea. I think the fan voting giving you an extra boost is pretty cool, and I think that the thing is with Formula E is it feels more fan orientated, whereas F1 feels like it is very much ruled by money.
Yeah.
If you watch an episode of Top Gear and you see Martin Brundle do his grid walk, it's all celebrities. And I'm sick and tired of celebrities being able to have that level of standing on the grid, because they don't give a shit about F1. Some of them just really don't. Like, when he asks a question about F1, and some of them are just like, look at his gormless.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Why are you even there? Like, so for instance, at the Dutch Grand Prix, just gone, at Zandvoort, they had, on the Thursday, they had a company that took some, so we'll say it's the Dutch version of Make-A-Wish, but for adults, okay?
Yeah, okay.
They took a load of these people who are very sick and in beds to the pit lane to give them a taste of what these F1 cars are like. And some of the drivers came out and greeted them and took pictures and talked to them, which I think is what F1 needs. It needs people who are local heroes, or not, like I'm talking like heroes who have done stuff to help towards charities or saved people's lives, those kind of heroes, and people who are what may have a wish to go see F1 and stuff like that, as the people on the grid, not these. I can throw 10 million at getting a grid walk because my name's Rihanna type person. Like, we don't need that in sport. Sport is for the working class, although it's getting to a stage where it's not anymore. Like, football price tickets are going up. F1 tickets are ridiculous. It's annoying.
So I guess in your opinion, if you don't like Formula E, but you like the crowd interaction, I guess what would you recommend Formula One do to try and get some younger viewers in the mix?
Exactly what I just said. Just get rid of the celebrity aspect of it, because it's not cool. It's not cool. In fact, it's the furthest thing from cool. If I tune in to see a race, I don't want to see Usher on the grid, or 50 Cent, or some rapper I've never heard of. Like, what is the point of them being there? Do you get what I mean? Like,
I get what you mean. I'm gonna push back against you though. I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. I mean, it's the same reason why for the Super Bowl in the States, you have like the halftime show, you have celebrities. You're trying to draw in like as many eyeballs and make it as marketable as possible. So,
but do you not think it would be fuck marketing for a minute, because they have so many sponsors, they have so many. Their income is insane. Like, would eyes not be more drawn and people not be behind it if they had like a heroes or whatever walking down the grid as a well done for saving somebody's life or whatever, or working in charity or something? Do you not think people would be more behind it if they didn't have these stupid models or whatever walking down the grid having no idea what's going on, and they're just there to show off? Would you not be more behind F1?
So I'll say this. Yes, I think that would like be a more pure sport. However, with the world that we live in, sex sells, and having these celebrities there, that's part of the formula. Like that's the whole reason why they're there. So
it's just a shame.
Yeah.
As I said, working class sport is no longer working class.
So, kind of taking, let's see, a little sidestep, if you will. Like, what is your favorite track on the Formula One circuit, and why?
Ooh, Monza.
Monza. Okay, why?
I love it in racing games, and the Tifosi.
Okay.
Let's see if you know what the Tifosi is.
Nope, I do not.
Right, the Tifosi. How to explain the Tifosi? So, did you watch the race at the weekend in Monza? Just gone.
I watched the highlight reel. Yes.
And how insane did the crowd go when Leclerc won?
They went nuts. I think I saw like.
Tifosi.
Well, that's you're talking about like the just the fan base that's there.
No.
Or,
the Ferrari fan base.
Yeah.
The hardcore Ferrari fans.
Yeah.
Are called the Tifosi.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that. What does Tifosi mean? Do I have to Google it?
I don't know. I'll have a look for you now. But I believe they usually have all. I think that Sunday Monza is the only time most of these people who work in the Ferrari factory as well get off work.
Oh, okay.
What does tifosi mean at Monza? The passionate fans of Scuderia Ferrari in Formula One. And is particularly associated with Monza. The word tifosi comes from ancient Greek word typhos, which means smoke or vapor. So they would celebrate their favorite athletes by lighting bonfires. So yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna try and put up an image of the tifosi, which is actually it's pretty. It is crazy to see. Like, it seriously is crazy. And this is an image from Monza. I don't know if it's the most recent one, but I mean it's still Monza.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Look
you see
at
the see the crowds.
Monza is also one of the only racetracks where the podium is over the racetrack, and they open the gates to let the entire crowd onto the racetrack after the race.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the only race circuit they will do this at, because of how insane the tifosi is. You wouldn't get this at Silverstone or something like that.
Or even in Vegas. Like in Vegas, as soon as the race is over, like, they start tearing stuff down. Like,
yeah, but
right away.
The difference is with Vegas and Monaco is because it is a street race, they have time limits. And if it goes over that time limits, they will stop the race early. It's happened at Monaco. They have like 2.5 hours to 3 hours to finish the race. And if there's a red flag or something like a rainstorm and they have to stop the race, they will stop the race and start, they won't finish it. Which is insane, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. No, that is crazy. I do have a question from the crowd.
Okay.
Serotonin Witch asks, Aurora, what are your opinions on electric automatic cars? If you have any.
So the funny thing is, in the UK, if you learn to drive in a manual, you will have a license to drive a manual and an automatic, right? So you get both licenses. But if you learn to drive in an automatic and do your test in an automatic, they won't give you the manual driver's license.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the States, if you drive a car, if you can drive it safely, automatic, manual, whatever, it's the same license,
But nowadays, most cars are automatic anyway. It's just easier. My thoughts on electric cars? I prefer the noises. If you gave me the noises of like a C63 AMG where it goes bang, 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 that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear a hairdryer. We're losing the sound of some amazing sounding cars because of it. I like the design of some electric cars, but we are losing the raw sound of some of these engines, and it's such a shame.
Yes, and I know that we don't agree on much, but I 100% agree with you on that. One of my cars is a manual transmission. One of these days, once I have a decent chunk of money that I can just, spend on like an old muscle car that has a nice, straight pipe exhaust system, like, I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna keep it I'm gonna keep it running as long as I can, because I love just the exhaust and like the I guess the cause and effect of driving a manual muscle car. It's like, yeah.
Another advantage to Mercedes-Benz world is they have one of the UK's only purpose-built test tracks that if you pay a certain amount of money, They will take you out in C63 AMGs. They'll take you out in AMG GTs and stuff like that, and just bomb it down these test tracks with you in them. And you can sit out and have a can of Coke or a cup of tea while watching these, and you can hear them, and you're like, that sounds so good. And then you're like, oh yeah, in a few years I won't be able to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sadly, just, I think, well, and there are a bunch of, major automotive manufacturers that have announced, they're going to stop designing and building internal combustion engines.
And then they're like, oh yeah, we'll put the sounds of the cars that you want in the
Oh
car.
God, yeah,
That's
like
not the same,
that's
man.
gonna be so damn sad. I'm just gonna be like, you know what, just give me a pair of scissors. I'm gonna cut the wires to these speakers. Like, I don't want to hear that. But
Yeah.
everybody, what we're talking about is, for a lot of the electric cars that are being made nowadays, like they're so quiet. The car companies are like creating artificial noise just to give you the
But
sensation of driving
this
a.
is nothing new. Like back in the day, if you watch one of the old Top Gear episodes, I can't remember what car it was, but I want to say it was like a Renault or something, which you don't get over there. You don't get Renaults over there. In fact, you get none of the French companies over there.
Yeah,
But
that's
they
true.
had, it was either that or a Volkswagen Golf that had, it would play the sound of a Lamborghini or something inside the
Yeah,
car.
yeah,
And you're like, why? And then you'll remember, oh yeah, Lamborghini are literally owned by Volkswagen.
yeah. The Volkswagen Auto Group. Yeah.
Which is why the Audi R8 V10 has the Lamborghini V10 in it. One of my favorite cars.
Yeah.
And that, again, the V10 noise from a Lamborghini, you're never going to hear it in the future. You know what I mean? You're not going to hear the V10 roar of a Porsche Carrera GT. So it's such a shame because these cars are becoming more and more expensive and just going to sit in collections and never be used.
Yeah, no, that's a damn shame. It really is. While I love like all the technology that's being packed into electric cars, and just like a lot of the touch screens that are being integrated, and all that, like that's pretty exciting. But yeah, just the thought of losing manual transmissions and
Like,
everything else is sad. Yeah.
In 2013, I think it was, I went to London for a night with my friend, and we went and we saw the what's it called? The Gumball. The Gumball
Oh, the Gumball
Rally.
Rally. Yeah, Gumball Rally. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, we saw that go through London, and you had all these cars, these Porsches, Bentleys, Ferraris, Audis, Range Rovers, Lamborghinis, and all of that, Redvin and stuff like that, and just giving the crowd some, In fact, my friend has a YouTube video of it on his YouTube, so I'll send that over to you in a bit.
Oh, heck yeah.
So you can watch it. It was just incredible to experience. We saw Knight Rider, we saw stuff like that just go through the crowd and stuff like that. But again, I get it. I get I get that it's environmentally friendly, but it's just a sad period because, growing up we had these fast cars with pure sound. Now we're going to have these fast cars with no sound. And in my opinion, they need to have some kind of sound, because if you're deaf and there's an electric car, you're not going to hear it. Or you're not you're deaf, you're blind when you're trying to cross a road. How are you going to hear an electric car coming towards you? Or see you? Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just gonna be the tire noise. That's about it.
Yeah, it's somewhat dangerous as well, in my opinion. So it is what it is. But the future is where we're going.
Yeah. I think if the current trend continues, it's all going electric, unfortunately.
But I will say this: I
Mhm.
am in a lucky position where, because of how I do certain things to make sure that I go see garages and stuff, I have seen the Holy Trinity in up front and in front of me. I have seen the LaFerrari.
Ooh, okay.
I have seen the Porsche 918,
All right.
and I
Yep.
have seen the McLaren P1.
Ooh, okay. All right.
So I have seen the Holy Trinity. I have seen a Ford GT. So we're
Nice. Okay.
talking
Yep.
the 2000s Ford GT, the re-release.
Yep.
I have seen a Ford GT40.
Yep. That's the
Um,
Le Mans racing version.
I have seen an F50, an F40. Um, I have seen an Enzo. I have seen the SF90. Um, I've seen a Shelby Daytona Cooper.
Ooh,
Cooper.
jeez. Okay.
Yeah, that was part of the Gumball run. Seen a Koenigsegg. Seen a Picani. Zonda.
Okay. There
Seen
we
a
go.
seen a Spiker. Um, seen two Veyrons. Um, yeah. So as I say, I have a habit of making sure that I get to see these cars.
Yeah.
These. So yeah, that's basically it.
That's a lot though. That is a lot of luxury exotic vehicles that
because
if
we
any one person
because
saw a handful, they'd be lucky.
because we live on a small island, and as I say, because the south of this island is it's not great, but it's kind of wealthier than the north.
Hmm.
Um, if I plan stuff, because if I'm going somewhere, I will always look at what showrooms are close. I will go to these showrooms.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it's part of my hobby, and my friends all understand it anyway. They're like, "Do you want to go to the Ferrari showroom?" I'm like, "Yes." They're like, "Be good then." But yeah, I'm trying to think what else I've seen. Um,
So I do have a few last questions, if you're ready for
yeah,
them. Okay.
yeah. I'm happy to go as long as you want or whatever. I'm not running out of stories, believe me.
Well, we might have to have you come back in and do a part 2 in the near future. But if you could go
hmm
go to go to any F1 race in the circuit,
hmm
which race would you want to go to? What's your dream
Monza
race?
again.
Yeah.
Monza. I'd be right within the Tifosi.
Yeah.
Just the thought of going there and seeing a Ferrari win would just be incredible. But I wouldn't want to go to an F1 race.
So you'd be happy watching the highlights on YouTube, but then running down into the mob,
I
the
don't. I
Tifosi.
don't. I don't think watching an F1 race, because it's not all it's cracked up to be. Let's be honest. Who wants to go stand for an hour and a half and just see? Meow, 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 meow,
What's that sound again?
meow.
I love it. Um. All right. I mean, is there anything else you want to say? I mean, to, I guess, kind of tell the Aurora story, or do you want to plug your social media outlets and your streaming
Well,
schedule at all?
well, I'll be back streaming on Monday. I'll be playing Rainbow Six Siege. Um, I've started getting back into Rainbow Six Siege, which is another FPS.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yeah, so that's fun. So I'll be streaming Monday and Tuesday. and then playing Test Drive Unlimited Thursday and Friday. And then in a couple of weeks, FIFA will be coming back to the channel because the new one's coming out. I've got that on pre-order. And then in October, I'll be getting Call of Duty back on the channel with the new Call of Duty. But
All
yeah,
right. So
I mean,
a lot of stuff coming up. So racing,
racing, FPS, and football.
and football.
Which
There
is
we go.
basically all my channel is.
Yep.
I have a load of old games as well. Like we're talking 360 games, PlayStation 2 games, PlayStation 4 games, PlayStation 5 games, PlayStation 3 games.
Just pretty much every generation
Yeah, apart from PlayStation
stayed consistent throughout the years.
1. Yeah, but that's just it. I enjoy playing games and streaming. But yes,
All right.
I really-
And yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I really, yeah. So that's that.
So yeah, everybody, if you want to see more of Aurora, which I don't understand why you wouldn't want to, but yes, you can follow Aurora on their Twitch channel, which I have posted up on the top of the chat. So go ahead and click that and stay tuned for updated schedules, I'm sure. And then you're also on Twitter, so people can
I'm
follow
on
you on Twitter.
Twitter, but I don't really post on that. If you want to know my schedule or whatever, I do have a Discord, which I need to remember. I will just get a link for, if I can.
All right. But yeah, stay tuned for the Discord link. I'll try and I'll have that in this video when I get it posted to YouTube. Hopefully not too long from now. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up right here.
That there is the Discord channel.
Hey, there we go. There's the Discord. Actually, if actually, I'll post the raid message here if anybody wants to join us on the raid. Yeah, if you send me the Discord link in Telegram, I can post it for you. But
Link is an asterisk.
Yep.
Oh no! I will
Yes.
sort it out. I will send it to Yuma and let me send it to Yuma.
Yep. But yeah, everybody, if you want to watch more of Aurora, the Twitch link is at the top of the chat, and then of course join the Discord. Let's see, there is the link. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy paste that into the chat right now. There we go. And yes, as Copper said, thank you all for hanging out with us this Saturday afternoon, at least for us. Pretty much Saturday night for you there, Aurora. But
Yeah, it's 9:30 for me.
yes, yeah, slight time difference, but really appreciate you spending part of your day with me and telling your story
Yeah,
and talking racing. It's been great.
Ulti's right. I do run an Among Us event once 3 times a month for people to come just chill. It's mainly for streamers and friends of the channel. We have to like veto the right people as well.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, if you enjoy watching people first turn on each other and
Yes.
cause chaos,
Mhm.
watch that as well.
Which I'm happy to say I'm part of that group as well. So when the time comes for more Among Us, I'm part of that, the mix of sussy furry people. So I join in the chaos with all of that too. But
Yes.
but yes, everybody, once again, thank you all so much for hanging out and watching the show and listening to us talk about cars and F1 and a little things furry related. But we're gonna go ahead and raid this totally unknown to us furry Twitch streamer. Let's see, their name is
Do we raid
Sad Panda
Oh,
is sad. I'm not sure. I've never
my
met this person.
my
I don't know
boy,
who they are,
my
but
boyfriend. You're right. You're
yes, yes,
reading my
exactly,
boyfriend.
exactly. So we have no idea who this person is. They could be totally sus, but
No,
we're gonna raid
never,
them
never.
anyways. But all right, everybody. So that is gonna be the end of this episode of Bull in a China Shop. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna be doing another interview tomorrow morning. And if all goes according to plan, then I'm going to have another interview in VR once again, and it's going to be pre-recorded, and then I'll play it hopefully tomorrow night. Fingers crossed if everything goes well. But okay, Aurora, once again, thank you so much for coming onto my show, telling your story, and talking racing. It's always fun picking your brain about Formula One stuff because you're very much more into it than I am. So I always learn something new when I talk to you about Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
But yep, with that being said, everybody, have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this afternoon. And we're going to go ahead and raid Sad Panda Sad, a good friend of the show, a VIP of the show, and just an overall good bean. So here we go. All right, bye, everybody.